Well, excited to jump into conference play, and thought we had a really nice break here. Felt like we played so many games incredibly early. I do believe we might have played 11 games before anybody else in the country did, but it afforded us a nice break, an opportunity to get some rest, put the semester behind us, and then probably even more importantly, just have a good body of work and information, of who we are, what we got to work on going into conference play, and then some time to really work on ourselves. And I think we maximized that over this 11-day break heading into conference play, and certainly got better. I divided my staff up and had each one of those guys kind of go through and look at different areas of the 11 games. Where are we giving up transition points? What's our ball screen breakdown? Where are we at guarding the basketball, rebounds, fouls, different things like that? Where are those coming from? What are the trends? What, certain players are responsible for what percentage of those points that we're giving up? And then we were able to kind of dive in and, build up some practice plans and film sessions and strategic drill work. How do we want to attack those things? And those are just opportunities that you don't get throughout the season very often, because more often than not you're coming in and you're learning from a game, and then you're quickly shifting your focus to a new opponent. And so I thought we did the best we could, staying fresh and working off the body of work from 11 games of information and stats that we've had to really attack some of our weaknesses as we head into conference play this week.
Yeah, now that you've played, I think, 11 games, and it seems like maybe you're kind of settling into a rotation and figuring out the minutes how you want to distribute the minutes amongst the guys. Do you feel like that's the case, that you're kind of like seeing how you want to play everybody and guys getting an idea what their role is?
Yeah, I think some of it, it takes a little time to figure that stuff out, and I think everybody has an idea of how you'd like to play, and that's why you play these games early on and figure out what's going to stick and what doesn't. I think earlier on in the year we really wanted to play a little faster, right, and run on makes and put pressure on teams, even when the ball went through the hoop, and then we just kind of realized that really wasn't going to work as well for this team. I think we were just having some fatigue errors on both sides of the ball that were just not worth us getting out and pushing and running quite as fast. And I say that because that affects your rotation, right? Because then we were having guys get into foul trouble and, not playing the amount of minutes that we really wanted them to do. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to more than anything else is playing the guys at the positions, with the most efficient minutes that allow them to be successful. And so when you've got to tweak a few things going through the first few games that allow you to do that, maybe your pace of play, picking your points as to when you want to play a little faster and slow things down and be a little more strategic attacking in the half court, it allows you to keep those guys on the court. But I like where we've settled in. I think foul troubles had a lot to do with that. Early on, we were struggling to kind of get that rotation, guys getting rhythm because they were seeing themselves sit on the bench with a couple of fouls. But we've cleaned that up quite a bit, and hopefully that's something that we can maintain moving forward so that we can keep a little bit more consistency within that rotation.
Yep. And obviously exams come when they come, but to have the break now, is it good timing to just get a little rest, or is it like where you were finding some consistency, like you said, or a guy like Justin McBride seemed to really be hitting his stride? Was it a good time for a little break, or did it break up the momentum a little bit?
No, I don't think it breaks up the momentum. I think it varies, right? We played so many road games. I think once we get through this, it's going to be 12 of our first 17 on the road to start the year, and obviously we played a lot, on the road, and we've had a lot of travel, and that adds up and it builds, and so I think this break, kind of counteracts that a little bit and allows us to rest up. I don't worry about our rhythm, quite as much. I think we found a good balance of, being really intense, getting after it, staying live in practice as best we could, and then also kind of finding that rest and being really efficient with our practice times and kind of keeping things fresh. But so many variables when it comes to putting that schedule together, and we try to find the silver lining in all of it, and finding the best way. The way that we attacked this long break was not a surprise. We started talking about this probably back in June or July when we put the schedule together, as to like how are we going to maximize and make this the best use of our time, so that we are still in a rhythm and capitalizing on the basketball that we're playing going into the break.
Talk talk a little bit about Justin, and has he even surprised you a little bit? I know when you guys got him, kind of we're going to change your style of play to accommodate him a little bit, but has he even surprised you just by how efficient he has been?
Yeah, I think so. We knew, how talented that he is. He's such an incredible, a versatile player. Obviously, he shoots it, he can drive it, he can post up, he can rebound, he can do so many things that you can use him and attack, different defenses in different ways. I think the adjustment for him was, hey, now you're going to be the premier player, right? You're going to be a guy that we're counting on playing 30 minutes a game. Your usage rate is going to be so much higher. And so it took a little bit of time for him to really adjust to get through that. The foul trouble was part of that, right? And saying, hey, this is how we've got to be in better position. We've got to be better with our communication. We've got to keep you out of these rotations, things that are more preventable and manageable so that you're not picking up fouls and you can stay on the court longer, get into a rhythm, and impact the game like we've seen him do, in the last 5 or 6 games. So not surprised by his talent, but certainly pleased with how quickly he was able to kind of turn the corner and accept that role, because that's a big jump. I think at Nevada last year he was their 3rd leading scorer, but he was 7th in minutes played. And so he was a guy that really proved, man, I can impact the game in a hurry, but I can't do it for very long. And so that's been a challenge for him to learn that, and he's really stepped up to that. I think the new thing for him is you're not sneaking up on anybody anymore, right? You're averaging 17 a game. You're going to be at the top of everybody's scouting report. So the ways that we've been able to incorporate you and use you to be effective, it's just going to be more difficult moving forward. And so that'll be the next part of his progression as a premier player is, the nuances of, sets that we run for him, the details, attacking different defenses, going against, just being the guy that everybody keys on defensively. It's going to be that much harder to maintain the success that he's found. But given the success that he was able to turn the corner early in the year and step into this new role, I'm confident he's going to be able to handle that moving into conference play.
Kind of on that same note, Brad's in a little bit different role than he has been in the past. So it's kind of been a 6th man coming off the bench, that spark plug. But I feel like he's done a really good job and adjusted well to what you want him to do. I mean, almost having 5 assists per game, running the team. Do you like how he's adjusted to his role?
Without question. I think everybody's been, pleasantly surprised at what a gifted passer Brad really is. Everybody knew that he could score, and he could, put points on the board in a hurry. But now he's proven that he can run a team. He can be the guy that facilitates and sets everybody else up. And we're really pleased with where he's at. Still not satisfied. We're going to continue to push him and lean on him and make sure that, he's leading our team in the right direction, but certainly proud of the progress that he's made in the 10 games that he's played.
Showing signs of being a really good defensive team at times, but it's been inconsistent. Teams almost shooting 45%. You're getting out rebounded. What needs to improve to become a more consistent defensive team? Yeah,
I think our intensity. You look at all of our games. We've had a lead in nearly every game that we've played this year. Some double-figure games, and just struggled to finish those, and kind of lost some of our intensity, down the stretch. And that's part of really dividing up different things. We're giving up 13 points per game in transition right now, and those are self-inflicted points that have everything to do with our offense and our rebound attempts and our floor balance on when the shot goes up. Because I think we're doing a terrific job offensively, limiting our turnovers, our shot quality, our assist to field goal rate is really climbing up there. And so the fact that we're giving up 13 a game through 11 games is kind of unacceptable, and it's an easy fix for us. And so just drawing the attention to it is something that we need to do so that we can make teams play in the half court. And then being able to guard the bounce. I think this team has really grown in conceptual defensive basketball, different coverages, whether it's zooms or post blitzes or different off-ball screening and ball screen coverages. We've really started to turn the corner and be better with those things. Now it's how do you get back and you get into your shell and you protect the paint and you guard the basketball and collectively help each other be able to do that, because that's going to be something that's really important moving forward, because that's a lot of what this league is a lot of dynamic players who try to take you off the bounce. And so we've given a lot of attention to that and going to continue to do that, but that's something that we've got to improve as we head into conference play.
Do you like starting conference play before Christmas?
Yeah, I've never done it. Well, obviously last year we played the one game. I think it's good. It obviously the calendar falls a little bit different each and every year. I'd prefer, a premier game, rivalry game like this one probably, take place for both programs when students are here. But I also think there is an advantage, going down and playing ODU. They're going to have a terrific crowd. They draw really well anyway, and then obviously with our two programs matching up, even with students maybe not being there, we should still have a great atmosphere. But excited to do that. I think our guys understand how important conference play is. Veteran group that have been a part of this many times, and they coming off of the break that we've had, this is certainly going to have their attention and hopefully give us an added edge as we head into the Christmas break.
Talk about ODU a little bit. What do you see on film from the Monarchs?
A talented group. I think Mike's done a terrific job. They were a team that they really caught our attention in the off season because of their retention. It's obviously just incredibly hard to do right now, and so they were able to retain some really good players. Got a couple guys that we were familiar with, whether they were regional players or guys who were in the conference. And so I think they put a really good team together, and I think they put an incredibly hard schedule together this year. Right? I think they've only played 3 home games the entire season. They've played Xavier. They've played a really good George Mason team, just like we did, and so they're way better than what their schedule, their record would indicate because of the difficulties of their schedule, and that's all by design. I don't think Mike's going to shy away from playing anybody, and it's going to prepare them for conference play. So that's the challenge. You can't look at it and say, hey, they're 3-9 or 3-10, whatever they are, and overlook them because they're certainly extremely talented. Their guards, they're going to play through those guys. They've got 4 players averaging double figures. They've got the preseason Sun Belt Player of the Year who's playing below his level at the moment, and so that's not exciting because at some point he's going to really catch on, and these guys are going to figure out how to play with each other. And Swanton Roger, one of the best defensive players in the league, returning, they've got a lot of firepower, and they've got a lot of different ways that they can beat you. They're going to play fast. They're going to drive the basketball. They're going to shoot it better than they did last year. And then just keep you off balance with a lot of changing defenses, whether it's switching in their man-to-man. They've shown a number of different ball screen coverages. They've shown 2 or 3 different zones, a little bit of press. And so trying to keep you off balance, and it has been a strength of theirs. And so we certainly can't look at their record and feel like this is going to be an easy game because they're better than their record would indicate.
Speaking about on ODU, what makes them the perfect first matchup for you guys, conference play, kind of like that first test going into things?
I don't know about perfect, but that's who we got. I think our non-conference schedule has probably prepared us a good bit for it. I think what we're going to see from them, we have, collectively we've seen throughout our 11 games, whether it's the zone, the couple different zone looks, the switching man-to-man, the different ball screen coverages. And so hopefully our guys can draw some confidence from the fact that, we've seen everything that they've done. It's just a matter of how well do you adjust to it, keep your rhythm, keep your aggressiveness, and find your advantages throughout the course of a 40-minute game because you're taking things you've done in 11 games, combining it in 40 minutes. And so that makes it a tough matchup. And then obviously, the rivalry is a special one. It's the best one in this league. It means a lot to both programs. And then the start of Sun Belt play, conference play in any league is really important, and you want to get off to a great start.
And just with that first conference game on the road, I know maybe the record doesn't reflect that. Are there some things you're really looking for this team to be able to help clean up in these road games that you think that maybe this extended break has been able to help out with?
Yeah, like Dave said, I think defensively just continuing to tighten things up. I really like where we are offensively. Our numbers are good. I think they could even be better. Our shooting percentage is not as reflective of how well we've executed and shared the ball. You got a guy like Cliff who's had a couple games where he's gone like 1 for 9, and I'd take every single one of those shots again because he could easily go 8 for 9. And that's a product of us doing a great job with our execution, sharing the ball, and really finding ourselves offensively. I think our bigs got to do a better job finishing, and we've tried to really prepare them for the Sun Belt of how physical this league is. And some of that's identifying, hey, this was a great play, against someone in the non-conference, but we have to finish this. You can't expect to get to the line, and you've got to make sure that we're finding ways to capitalize and reward our offense and our execution with a finish here. And then just defensively, putting the total package together and finishing games, playing 40 minutes of tough physical defense is something that we're still really striving to do, and I think this break is going to help us do that.
You mentioned the rivalry aspect of it. Obviously, there's a lot of guys who haven't been here for very long. Does the fact that it is a rivalry game, or that there's a winning streak against ODU, does that register for a lot of these players, or is it more just kind of another game for them?
Certainly don't mention any type of winning streaks ever. That's not something that we would use for motivation on our end. But I think that the rivalry game. I think coaches answer that a little bit differently. But we are going to approach it just like any other game. But I think it's disrespectful to say that it's just another game, right? It's okay to say it's a rivalry game. It's important to both of our programs. It's important to our alums and our universities, and so it deserves attention. I don't think that attention should put any extra pressure on our guys, but they need to know that, hey, there's extra motivation on both sides of this, and everybody is extremely invested, and that runs a long time, to the history of both of these programs. And so I don't want to sweep it under the rug and say, oh, it's just another game, because it's not. It is a rivalry game, and that's what's special about college basketball. But at the same time, our approach is not going to be any different because it is a rivalry game.